Kelly and David, they're on the mic, talking about things you gotta like. Holy Jewelers is the name. Kelly and David bringing the flame. Lost and wisdom all in store. Podcasts that you can't ignore. Kelly and David, they're on the mic, talking about things you gotta like.
Hey.
Here we are. Here we are. Episode 5. Welcome back.
Episode 5. God, how did we make it this far?
I don't know.
Without any serious injuries. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's true. I don't think anybody's written me off just yet.
Right.
Well, today we have a fun one. I think you guys are going to really enjoy this. It's a very special guest, somebody very close to me.
Very special guest. Yes, indeed. So let's try to kick this off with something special for our special guest.
All right.
There are some folks you meet in this life who just seem to have a story for everything. Not the kind you hear once and forget, but the kind that settle in your mind like an old song on a dusty record player. Mike Reilly is our guest today. Daddy-O, Papa Giorgio, whatever name you know him by, he's one of those men. A storyteller, a dancer, a man who plans his life around Martini Saturdays like clockwork. He's been retired longer than most folks have been working, spent his years printing money at the Bureau of Engraving, and now spends his days schooling 12-year-olds in virtual reality shoot-'em-up. He's got a music collection that could fill a jukebox in every bar from here to Motown. And if you put on the Eagles, well, you just might see him bust a move. He loves pink. Yeah, that pink. The singer, not the color. I thought I wouldn't put it past him to like both. He's lived through wars, watched men walk on the moon, seen presidents fall, and somehow, through it all, he's kept his sense of humor, his love of a good cocktail, and his ability to make a friend just about anywhere. So sit back, pour yourself a drink if you're so inclined, and get ready for some damn good stories, because when Mike talks, well, you'd be wise to listen. So, with that, I will...
Welcome, please, Mike Reilly. And here we are, sir. How are you?
Hi, it's good to be here. I had to fly. I just flew in from Chicago, so I wanted to make sure I was going to be here in time for it.
Nice.
You're visiting in Chicago, Dad.
With that introduction, I'm starting to worry. I don't know if I can live up to that. That was pretty good. I like it.
I want to be introduced like that every time I walk in a room, but I'm afraid of what David would say.
So Mike, I got to ask you because and then I'll ask you this question and then I'll tell you my answer. What's your favorite movie?
Oh, I think I know.
Probably The French Connection.
Oh, okay. Is that Gene Hackman?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gene Hackman,
Got
Roy
it.
Scheider.
Okay. Roy Scheider. I would say mine is The Shawshank Redemption. So that's what I was trying to recreate there with your introduction.
It was a great movie. It was a wonderful movie.
Yeah, it really is.
Is that a Stephen King? Is that a Stephen King?
Yeah, it's based on a Stephen King novel. I think the novel was called Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption is the name of the book.
Good. Well, I want to say my favorite movie.
Oh, yeah, you should, Kelly. You are next. What is it?
True Romance. Quentin
True
Tarantino
Romance.
wrote it. True Romance.
Oh, yeah.
My favorite movie. True Romance. True
with
Romance.
Christian Slater, right?
Oh, with Christian Slater and
Patricia Arquette. And
doesn't Brad Pitt have a small role in that?
he sure does.
He gets killed, right?
Yeah.
Right?
No, he doesn't get killed. No,
he
he's
does
just
not.
stoned throughout the whole entire thing.
He's just a
He was
stoner?
Michael Rappaport's roommate. And he's just stoned.
Okay.
And James Gandolfini, and just the best of the best. I love that movie.
So wait, so I'm sorry, Mike. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just before I lost that train of thought.
No.
So,
No.
who wrote it? True
Quentin
Romance?
Tarantino.
So he wrote it, but did not direct it, is what you're saying.
Correct.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. Okay.
Yeah. His first movie was Reservoir Dogs. I
Okay.
think that's the first movie he directed.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And True Romance was prior to that, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to take my glasses off because I can see
I
better
will
without
tell
them.
you this, that we're talking about Quentin Tarantino, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That damn movie he made, that last movie he made, that's my favorite.
Oh, Once
And
Upon a
I
Time.
thought Pulp Fiction was my favorite of his stuff. But then he did the one with Jamie Foxx. That was my favorite until
There
I
you
saw
go.
this.
Nice.
He-
Yeah.
I think he's brilliant. I love him.
He is.
Only
He
one
is.
movie left, and that's it.
He gets everything out of his actors. I'll give him that.
He
He
sure
definitely does. Yeah.
Yeah.
When they do that scene with Brad Pitt up on the roof, he's going to fix the antenna.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Remember that? He takes his shirt off.
Yeah.
Boy.
He's a glorious
Yeah.
man, I have to say.
Oh,
I think everybody in the world probably
I mean,
goes, damn.
that was all his scenes have a statement, but that one, masculinity, the 50s and the 60s masculine men
Yeah.
were movie stars.
When men were men.
Yeah. We
Right
talk
on.
about that a lot, like when, just like the older kind of Hollywood, all that kind of charm has kind of
Yeah.
disappeared a little bit. There
Sure.
were movie stars.
I tell you
Right.
what I don't like, and I tell Kelly is this. I'll probably say things that I shouldn't say, but I'm tired of looking at people that look like me or look like the average person. Movie stars. You turned on a movie show. Everybody was beautiful. All the men were handsome, and all the women were beautiful.
Yes. Right. Right.
Jesus, you can look like a tree now. It doesn't matter. Nobody. Oh.
Yeah. Maybe it's more character.
I mean,
actor
Charlie's
driven. I
Angels
don't
was
know.
a perfect. I mean, the whole movie, the whole TV show was nothing but these girls running around in skimpy outfits.
Right.
They
Yeah.
were beautiful. Oh,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't
Sure.
watch a lot of it, but as good looking as those girls were, they couldn't act worth a shit.
That wasn't what people were there for. Is that what you're
Although
saying?
Farrah Fawcett did become a good actress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
really did.
Yeah. Yep. So here, I thought one of the questions that I had to kind of kick this off is for you, Mike. Did we land on the moon? Was that a real thing?
Oh no, now I'm afraid.
It's one of those other things. Was there another guy on the grassy knoll?
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think for America it would be real good if we did it.
Sure.
We did it.
Yep.
And I would hate to think we didn't,
Right.
because
Yeah.
it really just shows we've been being controlled for 75 years, the populace. I mean, the more we get together, the more we're controlled by
Right.
other people and other events.
Yeah.
But as far as, I think they did. But boy, it would be heartbreaking if they didn't.
Right. Can you imagine if that came out somewhere down the line, that it was it was staged, or it was on a Hollywood set somewhere, and Stanley Kubrick had
Well, I
something to do with that?
guarantee you, if Johnson had something to do with Kennedy's death,
Oh,
I
sure.
guarantee you that'll come out, because
Right.
he hates Democrats. He wouldn't give a shit if they released that.
Right.
And he can release it anytime he wants to. I don't think he can override those things where you can't show.
Oh, right.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
talking about Trump. He's able
You're
to
talking
do
about
that.
Trump?
Yeah, God
He
knows.
can override
God
it.
knows what we're going to find out. There's going to be
Right.
all sorts of
Right.
stuff, information coming out.
I don't watch the news. I don't listen to the news. I don't do it anymore. It's too upsetting, and I don't know how to cope with it, so I don't do it.
Yeah.
My wife
I
watches
know.
it all the time. I can't stand it.
It's easy to get lost down that rabbit hole for sure. It's hard to come back out.
And as you get older, your world gets smaller,
Sure. Yeah.
and that seems to get me going in all different directions, and I'm not comfortable with that anymore.
Well,
I mean,
can
I was a
ask-
scatterbrain my whole life, but I'm pretty. I look down the tube now. I feel safe.
Sure.
Well,
Yep.
you've been through a lot of different, I mean, when you were born and, the 40s, like World War II was, and then, I mean,
Yeah,
there's a lot of
that was
turmoil
an
during that.
interesting growing up after the war because everybody's dad just about was a veteran, you know,
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
and often that brought people together because we lived in Veersmill Village. I told you that. And it was you
In
know,
Maryland.
people would talk to each other, and But
Yeah.
what the hell are we talking about?
We were just talking about. I was going to ask you about the generation thing, Mike. So, because you were born in 45, right?
Yeah.
So that it would make sense because I think 45 was the last year for what they call the silent generation. But you would identify more as a boomer, right?
I'm not a boomer, but
Right.
yeah, I think so. I don't really share anything with before that. I mean,
Right. Because I think probably your formative years were really during the meat of that boomer generation, right?
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think you start second or third, fourth grade, you see people and you think, well, that's the way that guy is. And you see him 50 years later and that's the way he is.
That's what.
Really? You found that it's not like a whole lot different.
He's
People
still
pretty
that
much
way.
stay
He's
true.
nuts.
Yeah. I think that's common. How you grew up and all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so you grew up right outside of Virginia,
Yeah, it was a
Maryland,
great
DC
place.
area.
It was a great place because you had everything. Maryland's a great place. You can go to the mountains in a day. You can go to the beach in a day.
Mm-hmm.
We used to drive. Oh God, we used to go down to the beaches on the bay. That was the thing. And that
Chesapeake
Sandy
Bay.
Point was my father's favorite beach because it was such a big beach and the water was deep right off the beach, like
Right.
Ocean City.
Right. Yep.
And so he liked that. But we would go to Beverly Beach and Mayo Beach and Triton Beach, and they all had slot machines.
They had slots.
So they left the kids to go play in the water. And they would be in playing the slot machine.
Yeah.
Man, you
Right.
think, well, that's just terrible. You could have drowned.
Right.
No, you couldn't. The water was about that deep,
Right.
a mile out.
Right. Yeah. Well, you probably learned how to swim at a young age, I would guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now, when I joined the Navy, I was NQS. I was a non-qualified swimmer.
Okay.
So I really learned to swim in the Navy.
Okay.
Tell them about how you had to take
But
those
in the water all
after.
the time. I just wasn't
Yeah.
a good swimmer.
Okay.
Tell them about what?
You had to take those classes after you had been working all
I
day
used to
long.
take classes in the evening until I could keep afloat for 10 minutes.
Oh yeah. Okay. It just was that done on open water or in a pool?
No, in a big pool. It was during
okay.
boot camp. It was during boot
Gotcha.
camp.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Lucky for him, he didn't leave the United States. He got to serve his military in Illinois. Was that right, Dad?
Well, yeah. When I got out of boot camp, I only went down the road about 40 miles to Glenville, Illinois, to a Naval Air Station,
Okay.
and I was stationed on a staff.
Okay.
I was a mail boy.
Right.
I was 17 years old, for Christ's sake.
That's incredible.
I was 17 years old, and I joined the Navy a month after I turned 17.
Wow.
I went
So
through
was that
boot
right
camp.
after you graduated high school?
Yeah, I didn't graduate high school.
Oh, that was before.
No, he didn't graduate high
I
school.
quit in the 10th grade.
Oh, you did? Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
His dad quit in the 6th grade, right?
That's-
Didn't your dad quit in like the
No, 8th
6th or
grade.
7th?
My
Eighth
father
grade.
went to the 8th grade.
Okay.
My father was a smart guy, but it's different than me. I wasn't smart. But stupid. Just plain stupid.
Sure. Yeah.
I was going to get a job. First job I had was at People's Drugstore,
Okay.
55 cents an hour,
Wow.
working
That's
behind the fountain. They had a soda
Oh,
fountain.
yeah. The soda
I
fountain.
worked
Yeah.
behind the soda fountain, the lunch fountain. Yeah, yep.
Okay.
I did that for about, I don't know, a couple of months. And some guy said, I can get you $1 an hour. I said, where?
Wow.
He said, Scott's Gas. You know Scott's Gas? Used to be right there in Wheaton as you leave Wheaton heading towards Sears Mill.
Was that the green and white sign, Scott's?
No,
Was that like a
Scott-
green and white?
No,
green
no,
letters?
I think it was red and blue
Oh, red and blue. Okay.
and white.
Okay.
And the guy wore a Scott beanie, you know.
Oh. Did he wear a kilt? Did they come out
I
in
think
a
he
kilt?
might have had a kilt too.
Oh, seriously?
It's a whole
Scott's
gimmick.
gas, and I got a job there working 10 hours a day,
Wow.
6 days a week
Wow.
For a
So you were working
$1 an
60
hour.
hours a week?
for $1 an hour.
Wow.
And they took shortages out of my pay.
Oh, if somebody
I was
didn't pay
paying to work
enough-
there. This
Oh,
guy's
my
shit.
God.
Oh,
the
my
other guys
God.
I worked with was robbing me blind.
Oh, that's crazy. That's
Because you
crazy.
used to have to go out and put the gas in the car. People
God.
weren't allowed to do that.
Right.
Wow.
I told Kelly a story. I know she don't believe it. This is a true story. I'm working midnight one night, and a fella comes in a Mercury. Got a big 4-door Mercury,
Okay.
50-something.
Right.
And he pulls up to the gas thing, and I come out, and he said, fill it up. So I get the floor, and I'm filling it up, and as I'm sitting there, I'm looking in the back seat. In the back seat, he's got a horse. He's got a horse in the back seat. I don't know how big it was, but it was a horse.
Wait. This was a Mercury, a vehicle,
He had
like,
it
like
in
a sedan.
in the back seat of his Mercury. He had
That was
he made it
damn.
like a corral.
Jesus. Holy shit.
He was transporting pigs to Pennsylvania. I don't know what the hell he was doing.
Wow.
He had a horse in the back seat of that car. And I've told that story over the years to people. Horse. And I'm telling you, he had a horse in the back of the car.
Yeah, some of my favorite stories is how, because you were so close to DC and stuff, is how you would go to DC to see these acts and dancing and all that kind of stuff.
You know,
Where was
in
that?
them days, drinking was 18.
Right.
Right.
So that
Right.
meant when you went, if you were older looking 15, you went. And
Right.
then everybody was there by the time they were 16.
Right.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
had fake ID. They look older. I used to run around the guy named Ralph Feehan. At about 15, he was bald up in the front, and he used to buy beer right in Wheaton. He was 15 years old.
No one questioned him. That must have been a great feeling for him, right? He's just a young
Ralph
guy.
Feehan, I'll never
He
forget
used it to his, to his betterment. But like the clubs that you would go down to,
Oh,
you
yeah,
said
yeah.
that you would you would sneak down there and
You got to put me back online. That's what I was at. I was going to say. So we had, once you cross the district line, you could drink. And these clubs made money by having bands.
right.
They'd have bands, or they'd have 3 acts, and so you'd go and sit for an evening. Probably cost you $6, if that.
Right.
You know, with the beer, with everything, $6.
Nice. Wow.
It was a great deal, and we used to do that. And then there was just dance clubs, you know.
Right.
And we used to go that way. You met girls. What else was
Right.
there?
Well, you had said a bunch of those clubs you'd go down, and mostly black neighborhoods, and you would.
Oh,
See,
that was
whatever.
it was the Howard Theater, which is a famous place in Washington D.C. The Howard
Right.
Theater. We would go there, and they would have Motown acts there, and I mean,
Yeah.
first line Motown acts.
Like
Right.
Smokey Robinson and the Miracles?
Yeah,
or,
I saw
oh,
Smokey Robinson and Miracles there.
Oh,
yeah.
shit. Wow. That's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
I see
That's
we saw
great.
all kinds of people there, and we would sit in the balcony.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sit in the balcony, because in them days they had to sit in the balcony.
Right. And
Right,
this was
right.
their club.
Old section. If you had moved
Sure.
there, you had a balcony. That's what they call it. That.
Wow.
But that law wasn't around long as when I was young. I don't think.
Really?
I think it was gone by the early '60s or something.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not sure, but anyhow, those clubs were great, and the dancing, and it was you'd go down to meet girls, and you'd wind up getting drunk and hanging out with the guys.
Probably
Walk
still
back
that
up
way.
in the hot shop at 1:00 in the morning.
Well, there's nothing wrong with a plan B, right? So if you didn't strike it up with the ladies, you got your buddies right there. So
And let me tell you something. I did more Plan Bs than anybody that ever lived.
well, we know plan B means something different today,
Yeah,
right? That's a
nowadays,
little- yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. No, I just love all the acts that you said that you've seen down there. Just like, I mean, major, huge stars. And you kind of go
I
in
saw a
there. And,
Motown show at the Uline Arena. You ever heard of the Uline Arena, David?
I don't
No.
think so. Is that in
No, I
DC?
haven't.
I think it's called American Arena now or DC Arena.
Okay.
It's been there for years, but it used to be called Uline Arena.
Right.
And they had a Motown show come through there. And I saw Stevie Wonder, I saw
Wow.
the Supremes, the Temptations, and somebody else. Little Stevie Wonder, though, was fantastic. He come out with that big, then clap it away. And there was a lot of white people there. There was a lot
Oh,
of
really?
white people.
At the bigger show?
Because they was, Motown was just the hottest thing.
But when it started, though, was that more like the little, like, did it explode at that time? Because it was all.
It did. It exploded between, well, I always liked black music because Baltimore, Washington had a large black contingent. So you got to hear a lot of black music, even on, the regular, what you would consider the white station. We used to listen to Fat Daddy out of Baltimore, and I think he was black. But we used to listen to because they did a lot of good blues stuff,
Sure. Yeah.
They did a lot of great music. So DC was great for disc jockeys. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Any kind of
Oh,
music
yeah.
you want? Oh, yeah. That was great.
Mike, did you ever one thing I've heard about sort of in the history of Montgomery County is the venue that was called the Shady Grove Music Fair
Oh, yeah.
in the
Like
60s
my
and
parents
70s?
took me there to see Steve and Edie Gourmet.
Okay.
Steve Lawrence and Edie Gourmet. Tony Bennett, I saw there.
Yeah, they had like A-list acts there, right?
Oh yeah. Johnny Carson would be there.
Nice.
I can't think of anybody that wouldn't. Shady Grove, and then you had the one in Baltimore had one.
Okay.
Can't remember that one. And then I know Philadelphia had one. So there was a whole circuit that they worked in the summer.
Right.
Right.
And
Right.
in the winter they might do like I saw Bye Bye Birdie there.
Oh yeah, so they did
And
musicals and
Grease.
stuff there. Yeah.
We saw Grease there. We saw
It's funny. I was looking at a list of some of the acts that played there, and so again, they had mentioned James Brown, Bruce Springsteen, the Jackson 5, Simon and Garfunkel, Aretha Franklin. I was like, wow, that place must have been. I mean, was it a nice venue? I mean, was it like when you
very
went?
old.
Did you,
It's an old burlesque house. It's an old
okay.
burlesque house. Very old. I bet it's 130 years old. So I know it's
Wow.
over 100 years old. I know.
Did you dress up when you went to a place like that, or was it
But
more
we dressed
casual?
of the day, but
Okay.
we were all sharp dressed men. We were all
Right.
sharp.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Not like
Well,
today. I mean,
you
yeah,
had
I like-
slacks. You had your slacks. You had pointed
Yeah.
shoes that were about
yeah.
that long. Cockroach. You kill a cockroach in the corner with them bad boys.
Yeah, right. Cockroach killers, right.
Oh yeah. Yeah. High waist pants for high waist.
Sure. Yeah.
Band lawn shirt.
Nice.
Yeah, remember with their suspenders, making sure they can keep them up as high as possible.
Yeah.
And their suspenders for their socks.
Washington area always had a cool vibe to it as far as fashion.
Yeah.
People always look good in Washington, around Washington. I mean, you'd go to a club and there'd be 10 guys standing at the bar and all of them have a suit on.
Right. Yeah.
Not
When
like
did you
today,
see that?
fucking
When did that
flip-flops and a
change?
bathing suit.
Yeah.
When did you see things start changing from that? Was it like the 70s, just the t-shirt and jeans and the little hippies and all that?
Yeah, but it didn't go away. But it was over time. It was a long.
Yeah.
I was telling Shorty that I still like to get dressed up.
Oh yeah. It's nice to be
a
able
bow
to do
tie
that.
on, man. I still enjoy that.
Nice.
But,
Yeah.
He gets stopped by all the ladies. I like your tie. I like your bow tie.
Nice.
Old black gal said that
Yeah,
funny.
yeah. She liked you.
It was very nice. It was very nice.
So Mike, if we could go back a little bit, so how long were you active duty in the Navy?
I was only a couple of years.
A couple years, okay.
Yeah.
And then when you got out, did you go right from the Navy to Bureau of Engraving?
Lord, no.
Oh,
I got out, and I probably had 25 jobs. I mean, I changed jobs all the time. But the $15 was due every week at home.
Your rent.
You were living at
right.
$15 a week.
okay, yeah.
And so I would finish one job and start another job. I never was out of work because then I would owe $30, and I thought,
Oh, okay.
there wasn't no forgiveness. It was, well,
Yeah, you get a penalty,
better get
right?
a job real quick.
Right.
Yeah. So, but,
How old were you when like Kennedy passed away during that whole thing?
I was 17 years old, and I was in the Navy.
You were.
I
Do you
was
remember?
I was stationed at Glenview Naval Air Station,
Yeah.
and it was a Friday afternoon, and we were working, and the information came out, and the admiral or the captain said, "Send everybody home." And so we all went back to the barracks and watched it on television,
Wow.
black and white. Probably a 17-inch TV. 20
Right.
guys all sitting around watching it. So my buddy says to me, he says, "Mike," he says, let's go to my house." And I said, "Your house?" I said, "We're in your house." He said, "No." He said, "My house in Michigan. My parents will go to my parents' house." I said, how are we going to get there? He said, "We're going to hitchhike." I said, "Oh, okay." So we're going out the door. We got our weekend bag. And Don, what's his name's coming in the door, and he said something to Jack, and Jack said, "Well, come with us." So the three of us head on out, and we get out, we hitchhike from the base, and we get out to a major highway, whatever it was. And then we kept getting rides. People would drop us off, and other people would pick us up because, we had the blues on, and we get a ride. We get a ride on right at, I think it's the Chicago Skyway. I think that's what it's called. Anyhow, we get a ride with a guy in a pickup truck. So it's four people in the front seat. It's us three and him driving. And he's all hunts like he's driving the car.
Was there a horse in the back?
No horse.
No horse. Okay.
But he's listening to country music. And we said to him, "Well, that's a terrible thing about the president." "What happened to the president? What are you talking about?" He said, "The president was killed." He said, "No." He said,
Wow.
"Yeah, he died. The guy shot him." "Oh my Lord!" And then he didn't say any more. And he never turned he never turned it to the news. We wanted to hear the news.
Yeah, you
He
wouldn't
was
hear what's
listening
going
to a
on.
country station out of New Orleans.
Wow.
They probably had something to do with it down there. Matter of fact, I think they did it. Didn't they put some guy on trial for being in New Orleans? They did.
Yeah,
They made
something
a
about
movie of
that.
it,
I kind of
too.
remember
Oh,
that.
sure, right, yeah. That was I'm trying to remember that gentleman's name from the JFK movie. At least,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, but anyhow, he was a prosecutor, I think. He was something, I forget, but yeah, that's
forget.
funny.
Yeah,
But
there's definitely a
that-
story.
And we got a ride. And we finally got to the place. And what the hell was I going to tell you about getting to the place? Oh, so we hung out around and watched TV a lot. And we got up one morning, like Sunday morning or something, and we watched Lee Harvey kill him on TV live.
Oh, you did watch that.
Yeah, I mean, we watched the other guy.
Jack Ruby.
saw that
Yeah,
happen.
Jack Ruby shot. Yeah.
Jack Ruby.
Yeah.
We watched that live on TV.
My
Holy
dad
cow.
always recounted that story for me. He said he was watching it live on television, and he said he remembers saying to my mom at the time, he said, "I can't believe they're taking Lee Harvey Oswald out of the police station in front of a public crowd like that." And then the next thing you know, Jack Ruby walks up and pops him right there. And I mean, yeah, I can't even imagine what that must have been like.
I'll tell you what, if you read some of the books about that, I haven't read them, but I mean, if you do, they sure do have a convincing story that was all set up.
That was planned. Yeah.
You know, he was
Yeah.
truly a scapegoat. And
Right.
But Jack Ruby, he was dying of cancer anyhow, right?
He was. That's right. Yeah. He was dying of cancer. Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, what does he have to lose? Yeah, probably got a little nice payday.
And, you know, I don't know
for
what
his
happened to
family.
him. I don't know if he ever went to trial or he died. I don't know. I don't remember what happened to him.
I think he died before any trial
Yeah.
could have happened. I think he passed away shortly after that.
I'm
But don't
sure
take
there's
my word
lots
for
of that
it.
kind of stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, just you watch anything nowadays, and if your mind starts going, you start. I mean,
man.
nothing's an impossibility anymore.
Right.
You know
Everything's
what I mean?
everything
Especially
can
when it
be-
comes to. I mean, I can
Conspiracy
understand
theory.
how conspiracy theory, but that would drive me crazy. I think we're
Right.
all from that generation of I just don't know, and it's okay.
Right.
Whereas nowadays, people have so many resources to go down these rabbit holes that
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like never ending.
Oh my
I'm
God, there's
okay with
9,000.
just not knowing shit. That's
Yeah,
okay.
9,000 different podcasts with all kind of theories just
Right.
kind of floating out there.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
Yeah, you were
it's-
talking about
it-
when I was young in Montgomery County. I can
Yeah.
remember it was a big deal to go up 4th of July and stand in the street in Gaithersburg to have a big parade every 4th
Yeah.
of July.
right.
There'd be thousands of people there.
Yeah, I bet. I
Yeah.
bet.
yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
doing that. And Rockville, I think, used to have a Christmas parade or something. They had some kind of a parade every year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
used
I
to
know.
have parades. I haven't been to a parade in years.
I haven't been. It's been a long time. But the one that I remember that stands out for me is in Gaithers, because I grew up in Gaithersburg, was the Labor Day parade they used to have.
Oh yeah, yep.
Well,
And,
that's probably the
that-
one I'm thinking of. That's probably
Yeah,
That's
I
probably
mean,
the one I'm thinking of.
that was always a huge event, and the the local politicians would be in like a convertible, and they'd be tossing out those commemorative coins for that particular year's Labor Day parade.
right.
Shit, you would have thought we were chasing gold bullion down the fucking street, man. We had bags. We tried to collect as many, and honestly, I wish I would have held on to them and still had
Oh,
some to this
God, yeah.
day. But
Yep.
yeah, no, I have great memories of parades, and I don't. Dude, it's funny. I mean, I live in Frederick now, but I don't know. I mean, they do like a holiday parade in downtown Frederick,
Right.
that kind of thing. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just not aware of it. You know, maybe there's more parades than I know. But that's a conspiracy theory right there. Something with parades. I don't know what that theory is, but something's going
It
on.
was
We need to
fun when we
figure
were
it out.
kids, and we did the one in New York for Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
Kelly
Macy's.
and my mother and I.
Was that
Yeah.
Macy's?
Macy's
Did
Day
you all go to
Parade.
that? I've never
Yeah,
been to that. I've
it's
never
so
been to
cool.
that.
I have a lot of
That's-
good memories about that.
And they've
I took my
always
new family too.
they've always had floats, right? That's always been the
Oh,
big
yeah,
thing with
floats,
Macy's,
yeah.
right? Is the
Yeah.
yeah.
Floats and the balloons.
Yeah, right.
No, it was cool.
But the Rose Bowl, I think, probably has better floats.
Is that
than
California?
New York. Rose Bowl was so beautiful with the roses.
Was that in California, Mike?
Yeah,
Did they do that?
that's
in
for the
Ca-
Rose
okay.
Bowl.
Oh, right. It's
But,
the
you know,
floats
talk
where
about
it's
beautiful floats.
all
Right.
flowers, right? Like
Yeah,
they
it's
do
all
it.
flowers. Yeah, it is gorgeous.
Nice.
Yeah, I remember this year Sean called me and he was like, "Are you watching the parade on Thanksgiving?" I was like, "Oh shit, that's on." It used to be such a, I mean, it was just a thing that you always did. But I don't know who anybody is anymore. I think my dad and I talk about that, like watching
Right.
the Oscars. I
Right.
don't know the movies, and
Yeah.
I don't know all these people.
Who are we
things
talking
can be-
about that used to write the names? Oh, I don't know what.
What was it?
People that lived in the court, Raiders. You remember the
Uh-huh.
Mr. and Mrs. Raiders?
Yeah. They would write the names down for the Oscar and what everybody would pick or something.
Oh, they had a daughter that married a guy. And so her name was Stephanie. So Stephanie's telling the story. She said, his mother, her husband's mother, would incessantly watch all the, beauty pageants. And that's all she just
Oh.
loved. And
Right.
Stephanie said the mother handed Stephanie this note. And she looked at the note, and it was a list of names. And Stephanie said, "Who are these?" She said, "They came in 4th, 5th, and 6th."
She knew about She knew about
People
the
are crazy.
runner-ups.
People are crazy.
Yeah. Right.
And you never know where you're going to meet the crazy. Here this woman, this girl marries this guy and finds out the mother is a complete wacko. Like your mother. Found out my father was crazy.
Oh, that's your dad. Yeah. Well, saw
But
a
I
thing of crazy
transgressed.
back then.
You did. People, I'm just thinking about crazy people. And this is a great story. I don't know if I ever told you this story.
Okay.
In Veersmill Village, a big deal was to go on Halloween. You went trick or treating. And for I think I held the record for 7 years straight. I went as a hobo. So it's 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and we're making our last round. And we're coming up Benyon, and we said, let's get this house, that'll be it. So I think there's 4 of us on the stoop, and we're all dressed alike. So the door flies open, and there's a guy, and there's 2 guys and a woman, and they're all drunker than a skunk. They can hardly talk to you. They're standing there with a drink, looking at us, you know. She thought, what are you guys doing here? But anyhow, so we said, trick or treat. And old Earl standing over there, Earl says, I'll give him a trick. He put that drink down, and he backed up, and he did a full in the air somersault. Man was 45 or 50 years old. He
Holy
probably
shit.
killed himself.
Did he land on his feet? Oh, no.
The other guy said, I've never
That
seen him
alcohol
do
was
that
giving him,
before.
he thought that alcohol was giving him wings. He was ready to do some parkour shit, and he tried to do a somersault. That's crazy.
I am feeling especially good today.
Oh, my God.
I remember thinking I could somersault
That's really good.
or I
That's a
could
good
cartwheel. My kid was
Cartwheel.
doing cheer, and I was like, just do a cartwheel like this. And one hand went on the ground, and I was like, I think I hopped a little bit. It's amazing when in your head you're like, I can do that, and then you
Oh, yeah.
actually try to do it as an adult. It's like, no, you can't.
Yeah.
No, you
I
cannot.
did that. I could do a cartwheel until I was about 50.
50?
Yeah, honest. Because I like cartwheels. I used to do cartwheels. Yeah.
That's pretty damn impressive.
That
Yeah,
is
I could do
impressive.
Yeah.
You know, I may be dreaming about that, but I'm pretty sure I did cartwheels.
Maybe
I
it was
know I did
alcohol.
cartwheels down in Florida. So I wasn't.
Do it right into your pool, huh?
That birdie putt goes in, you know.
Well,
so
yeah.
Mike, what can you tell us about what was a typical day like for you at the Bureau of Engraving?
Well, Bureau of Engraving and Printing was I'm sure Kelly told you the history of that. I don't want to get in there, but my father-in-law worked at the Bureau of Engraving and Printing.
Okay.
Her
My
mother,
pop.
father. And his father had been a plate printer. And his father's father had been a plate printer. Now, Bob, who was her grandfather, he was a machinist. And he took his apprenticeship under his father-in-law over at the Navy Yard. And then he came over to the... Anyhow, what the hell was I going to tell you? Oh, so the Bureau. So I got to work there, and Bob Lane told me they're going to open up this apprenticeship. It hadn't been open as a full apprenticeship 30 years. 30 years. So this was 69. Bob told me I got to take the test. So I took the test in 69, and I didn't score high enough to get called. And then I took it again in 70 because they were going to do another apprenticeship class. They had 25 apprentices in the first group. 25 apprentices. That's a hell of a lot of apprentices. And then they turned around and brought us in 71. Now we got 50 apprentices.
Nice.
Not nice. In 72, we brought another 50 in.
50. Wow.
Well, maybe not 50, maybe 30. Probably 30, not 50. Probably 30.
Okay.
So anyhow, we were all young guys, and the apprenticeship we had the greatest time. I had so many fond memories of the crazy stuff we did. Yeah. And the bureau was they were screwed up. They didn't know what they were doing. They brought us in there and then used us as support help. In other words, they weren't teaching us the craft. They were using us, to stack paper and do stuff with ink and stuff like that. So finally they cracked down on that, and then we went into a much, but we learned, I think I learned 4 presses. I know 3. I'll say 3. I learned 3 presses while I was there.
What does that mean?
As an apprentice.
What does that mean? When you're saying presses, what does that mean?
Well, I mean, I could run 4 different kinds of presses.
Okay.
Okay. Like dollar bills, stamps, like
that's
when
right.
You're saying
that's
a
right.
press.
Yep. Stamps, they printed in they printed them in gravure, and they printed them in other ways. So
Right.
I was trained on most all that stuff. And so that was good because I could work anywhere overtime, and we worked a lot of overtime.
That's
Her whole
nice.
childhood, I was working. We worked 6-7 days a week.
Wow. I bet you were making great money though. Yeah.
I mean, it was just, if the call was there, we had to do it. And then they opened the other plant. And of course, I think that changed it. I don't even know if they have overtime anymore. I don't know.
Right.
But
what was
we
the
worked so
deal?
much overtime. So the bureau was part of my life because I've spent so much time there.
Right.
Why did
What
they
we
have?
got so lucky is all these guys were retiring. So when we
Right.
come in, these guys that were teaching us the trade were all getting ready to retire. So we were going to be the dudes, man. So, in the door and in charge I came in the door in 1971. In 1979, I was a foreman.
Nice.
1979, I made foreman. I made acting foreman the year before, and I made permanent foreman in 79. And it all had to do with the poor planning of the bureau, because all of a sudden they needed more people, and they had to bring these apprentices in.
Were
and
they
when I
calling
first-
people back that had retired? Weren't they calling back those people
They
too?
did. They brought people back that had retired early. And then there were guys that they had a layoff in 51, and they brought guys back.
Ah,
Guys had left in 51. Now here it is 69 or 70. You get a call from the bureau. Would you like to come back to work?
wow.
Well, some of these guys said, well, hell no. And others said, oh yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we made real good money. We had a separate pay scale than the government. And so we had all these old guys and us young guys. And that was funny. That was a headbutting thing. And guys started growing beards and long hair.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they were all called sissies. If you had long hair, you were
Oh
a sissy.
yeah. Well, you know what? So what's fascinating to me, and Mike, I've got so many questions about the process of what you did there. So if you've heard enough of it from me, just let me know. We'll move on to something else. But for instance, for me, like I think about where computers are today, and I'm guessing back then these presses weren't necessarily computer controlled, or maybe they were, but were they heavy mechanical, like gears, a lot of metal pieces, that kind of thing, versus and were they controlled by sort of human power, or was there some kind of computer control for those machines? The presses.
There was. When I went in, we had 6 stamp printing web presses. You know what a web press is?
I have no idea.
A roll of paper, and in the back it unrolls, it runs through the press, and then re-rolls in the front.
Okay.
We
Like
had those kind of little one printer press and a apprentice, and these presses were probably 20 years old, maybe 25 years old. And in the currency area, we had 10 one-plate presses, and we did maybe 7,500, 8,000 sheets a day.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. On day work, we did 12,000 sheets.
Wow.
12,000 sheets a day.
And a sheet, and this is currency, paper currency?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
And
Yeah,
and
paper currency.
how many
That's right.
bills in a sheet?
32.
32 bills in a sheet. Okay. And you're doing
But you had to run
12,000
it through
sheets
the
a day?
top and do the
Yeah,
and then do the
and
bottom underneath both
yeah,
sides.
well, you print the green. Yeah, you print the green first, then you put the faces on.
So it's all a separate process. That gets done the
There's a
green
separate
and then
process.
you reload it,
What would
put
happen
it in
is
for the other.
the currency was printed in sheets. So
Right.
it went in as a sheet, it came out as a sheet.
Right.
Stamps went in as a roll and could come out as a roll or sheets or, yeah. So, anyhow. But these are different kinds of presses. I don't want to get you too confused. When I first learned, I learned the stamp printing press and a currency printing press. And after 18 months, I could run that press myself with a helper. So they started getting production out of us in 18 months. So that helped a lot. That helped a
Nice.
lot.
Now these presses, were these manufactured in the US or were they like done in like Italy or some other kind of country?
It's funny you mentioned it. That's exactly where the currency presses come from now is Italy.
Okay.
It's called the Giori Company. And as far as where the plants are, I know they were not Heidelberg, but there was a German company involved there too. And so I'm not sure where the production of it is, but Giori is the big company that we bought.
Okay.
Now, when I went in there, we had, forget those old presses, they finally went away, and we had 4 plates around the cylinder now, and we did 45,000 sheets a shift.
Wow.
Wow.
That's
So-
incredible.
And then that went up gradually because things changed. Same style of press, but completely different mechanics to it.
Right.
But the manpower, did that decrease, like the manpower needed when you advance to these higher presses?
Yeah, I'll tell you a funny story about that. When her father and grandfather worked at the bureau, there was 7,000 people worked there.
Wow.
When I left, there was 2,500.
Oh.
I don't
Wow.
think there's 1,500 there now.
Really? Because they just don't need the physical brute power of somebody. They just need
I went
overseeing.
3 years ago back to the bureau for a tour,
Right.
and we got an on the floor tour, and it was like you cook spaghetti every day of your life, and when you go back, they're cooking something else. It's beforehand, but it was so different. It was so different.
Sure.
The presses looked the same. The presses with the big cylinder with all the plates on it looked the same.
Right.
But now they're doing 32. I think they're doing 38 or 50 notes. They're doing 50 notes a sheet.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So
So
big.
bigger.
That's,
Yeah.
in the old days, you'd print the backs, wait a day, then you'd print the faces.
Right.
Yeah.
Then it would go, and then it would sit for a day, and then it would go to processing, and then it would get cut in half sheets, and then the half sheets there would be a girl sitting at a counter, and she'd have a stack of them here, and she would flip them and do the
Just look
examining
at 'em.
of every note on the sheet.
Wow.
She
So
was
it's
looking
hand
at
inspected.
16,
That
she
was
was
her
looking at
job.
16 notes to pick out it, in perfection. And I
Yeah.
swear it was.
Dad, tell the story
Yeah.
about when you were running that one with those 2 guys and it messed up.
Oh, that's a terrible story.
Do it. It's funny.
I worked for this foreman who was a verbose guy.
Right.
His name was Joe Ambrose, and Joe was a big guinea. No, he wasn't. He was an Irish Mick like me. He was a big guy. And he was tough as nails. He could eat the paint off the wall. So I think he's a pain in the ass. So I'm working the weekend. Well, you guys that I work with, usually they didn't want to work.
I think
So now
I
we
think
go
my
get guys that have trained in the section. Don't mean that they've worked there for any amount of time, but they've trained there. Well, I get Laurel and Hardy that night. I get Laurel and Hardy, and it's 2 guys, and I just don't think they knew what they were doing. So I said, I got one for you, Joe. So in the back of the press, there was a position for me to put rolls on the press. The easiest job in the world, put these big rolls on the press and then fire them off when the old roll got too small.
Right.
So I'm sitting in the back, and I don't know what I'm doing. I'm sitting in the back, and finally I come around the side of the press where I can see them. They're up at the front of the press.
Right.
And they've got more paper stacked on the floor than they've got in the press. In other words, it's damming up. So they're pulling it out. They're pulling it out. And the pile's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm thinking, oh, my God, he's going to kill me.
Yeah.
Out walks Joe Ambrose. What the fuck? And paper's on. He hit the stop button. Oh, he looked at me. He said, you son of a bitch. Well, he knew that if I worked the front, it would have been. Well, I thought to it, these guys are getting the same money as me.
Yeah.
Right.
Take a break and work the back.
Why not? I take the easier job too.
Like we get the, and, Joe ripped into me. He ripped into me.
Joe sounds like a character, but it sounds like the way he handled people probably built character. So that's
Or broke character,
or
actually.
or broke character, right? Yeah.
We had guys that were great printers and lousy foremen, and vice versa.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and people, my class was the first woman became a plate printer.
Oh wow.
Woman. And she was 55
Excellent.
years old. She was 55 years old. She got her apprenticeship.
Wow.
She had worked at the bureau, and they tried to take as many people as they could. So they figured, boy, this is going to fit every. We got a black woman. We got a woman over 50. This is going to be great. She turned out to be a good printer. She was
Nice.
a good printer. Her and I organized the graduation ceremony. But anyhow, so I never knew who was going to be a good personnel and who wasn't going to be a personnel. That was always something that I always was thought about.
Yeah.
Guy come out, he'd be a great printer, and then he wouldn't be a good printer anymore.
Yeah.
People change. People do change. And I often saw people change for the better. I often saw that.
Sure.
It wasn't always
Yeah.
wasn't negative. I had a great job. Dave. I could talk about that all day, but I had a great job.
That's fantastic. The plates that they used for the printing process, were those hand engraved by artists?
The short answer is probably yes. Now, what happens is, I don't think we have time to go all through it, but
Oh, sure. Yeah.
the process is the engraver. You have number engravers and letter engravers.
Okay.
So you have guys that do nothing but cut that 1 or 10 or 50 into the note.
Okay.
And all that scroll work you see on the side, that's all machine. That's not.
Oh, okay.
That's not
Okay.
all the scroll work. But all the picture of whoever it is or whatever it is, that's all made by these guys.
Wow.
These guys they talk about making great money. Oh, great money.
I bet.
Well,
Yeah.
Dad, talk
great.
about the one time that somebody tried to take a plate.
Man.
The two guys that tried to take a plate, stole the plate. You were telling me about, and they got caught.
No.
Oh.
They take a plate.
Oh,
They used to
What'd they
burn the
take?
money at the Pentagon.
that's right.
They used to burn the waste
Old money.
at the bureau.
Oh,
We
okay.
ran at about a 6% waste. At about anyways from 4 billion to 6 billion notes a year. That was our waste. They're down now to less than 1%. Is what they're
That's
at.
waste. You're talking about like messes up. It wasn't like old money coming back into the treasury and you were burning that. It was mistakes.
It could have been that money because I think it all came back to the bureau at one time
Yeah.
and then they destroyed it.
Right.
But I also this could have been the waste from the may have a small nick in the thing.
Right.
Nobody's going to notice that. So what they would do was these two would go over with 3 guards. So there'd be 2 guards and the guy that drove the truck.
Right.
And the guards had a thing. They had their own room. They went down, and they went into the furnace and they lit up the furnace and they tipped the the bales into the tray. Well, they got a good idea. They said,
Wow.
well, you don't have to give it all back. You don't have to burn it all.
Right.
So they stole a ton of money. And the only way they got caught is one of the guys, they had gone down to Key West and bought a bar in
Wow.
Key West. And and one guy told his girlfriend how they got the money.
Wow.
And she ratted him out.
Oh, man.
I hope she got a nice reward.
You know, that story has been told for years and years and years, and I just wonder how much of that has changed over there. The fact that they did do it and they were security guys, that was positively the truth.
Wow.
Exactly how it happened. But when I was there, a guy stole $650,000
Wow.
or $1.2 million.
How the hell did you
Stole
leave?
$1.2 million.
How the hell did he do that? Like, how did he get it out?
This is going out over the air. I don't know if I should be telling it. Hell with it. That was 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So anyhow, this guy's an engineer. And they make him a head of a program, as I brought up the web press. They had an idea that they could print currency on a web, which would make it go, in other words, they print the back, they print the face, and they would dry it in between, and when it came out, it'd be a roll, and they would take it and they could process it off that one roll, which would be much better than all the other crap we did. So anyhow, this guy was in charge of it. So they worked on it. We had a few printers that went down there. And so they decided they were going to do a test. And they did $100 bill test. And they did the test, and they put it through processing because they wanted to see how it would be. And then it all came back to his unit there, where they doing the testing. And he started stealing it.
Oh.
He started stealing. And it was probably, I think he got $1.2 million out. Something like that. It was
How
either
long?
600 or $1.2 million, one or the other. I can't remember.
Wow. That's a lot of
Over
paper. That must have
what
weighed a
they-
ton.
Here's how they caught
What
him. Here's
amount
how
of
they caught him.
time?
This
Yeah,
is the funniest thing. They caught him. Now, again, if this is the true story, they caught him. They had some reason that the Secret Service takes care of currency, right? They take care of fake money and stuff. The Treasury Department. So the Secret Service goes down there to the bank, and she got called for some reason. And they were at the bank, and somebody mentioned the fact that this guy puts $9,900 in the bank every 2 weeks.
Man.
Under 10 grand.
Wow.
Wow.
So he doesn't get caught by the. So
Still suspicious as
this
shit.
woman mentioned it. This woman mentioned the guy comes in with brand new $100 bills, $9,900.
Wow.
Oh, shit.
And the Secret Service guy doesn't say much as the story goes. And then finally on the way out the door, the guy turns around and he says, where's that guy work? And they said, works at the Bureau of Engraving and Printing. And he said,
Shit.
Jesus Christ.
That's a big red flag right there.
He had been taking the
right.
money out in a false bond. gin
Oh,
bag.
like,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
He was a GS-15.
Oh,
Man.
making good money.
Yeah.
He was a 15.
Mm.
Maybe he was a 14, but he was up there. He was up there.
He was up
He
there.
was making over 100 grand a year.
Wow.
Just wanted to make a little extra.
Yeah.
Good
Here's
Lord.
the kicker, and I'm going to go after this. Here's the kicker.
Okay.
He did 29 months. They got him for stealing government property.
29 months.
I
In
think that's
retribution,
what I
right?
heard. 29. They got him for
I certainly
29
hope he
months.
had to pay it back.
Oh yeah. Well, he wasn't going to do. He was. They had to threaten his mother to get him to. Because she had signed some paper because they bought a place in Ocean City. They bought
Wow.
they bought a couple of places.
Mm.
They were spending big money. She was
Yeah.
in on it.
What a
Man.
Him and
dummy.
his mom.
Why can't we be like that, Dad? You could have I could be set up for life
I mean,
right now.
shit. Lived his whole life.
Well, you know,
What was he thinking?
that seems to be a sure sign, right? When people notice you have a sudden shift in lifestyle like that, they're
so
going, "Where's that
dumb.
money coming from?" You
Yeah.
gotta keep that on the down low.
Yeah. Can you imagine nowadays trying to keep anything a download? Like I hear about
No.
these people that win like the Mega Millions, and they're
Right.
in states that don't have to report it, and they're like, I
Yeah.
still show up for work every day. I haven't told nobody
Yeah,
nothing.
right. Yeah, that would be the smart thing to do, right?
I wouldn't tell anybody in the family until I got it all set up.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought I was going to win that billion a couple of years ago.
I
thought
know.
I had that down. I had the right numbers and everything, but something happened.
That would have been nice.
Yeah.
You won it, Mike. You won it, didn't you? You're just not. You're not letting
You're
us
just
know.
not saying
Hey,
anything.
Bob, baby, I knew exactly what we were going to do. We were going to have $660,000 a month to spend.
That's a big
That's when he
party
needed
every damn day.
live-in care from his daughters. That's when that
$660,000
would
a
have
month. You
happened.
could do okay on that. You could do okay.
Yeah. Oh my.
Whatever.
Oh, heck
I'm
yeah.
sure it was. It was probably
My gosh.
66,000. I don't know.
Right,
But anyhow,
right,
it was
right.
a lot of money, and I thought, oh, geez, I'm going to do that.
Well, you were lucky to
Love it.
retire like super early, though. I mean, you've been very blessed
That's-
in that
yeah.
way.
The
That
luckiest man you ever met. I'm so
Yeah.
lucky. I'm lucky, lucky, lucky.
how old were you when you
Yep.
retired? I mean, I know, but
52.
52.
Oh my God, that's incredible, Mike. I'm 50. I'm going to be 57, and I figured out I'll be able to retire at 97 and enjoy about 11 minutes of that retirement. So there you go.
You did it for every
Oh,
generation in America, except maybe during the Depression.
Yeah.
Every generation did better than the previous generation. I don't,
I don't
see
think
that
that's
happening.
anymore. Yeah, that ain't
Not
happening
anymore. Yeah.
Oh,
I
God,
can remember
if
being a
anything.
kid, and my dad probably made $4,000 a year, maybe 5,000. I doubt it. He was a cab driver, and I told you what I said. You know, I'd like to be a cab driver. If I could make 10 grand a year, I'd be happy.
Right. Yeah. It's incredible, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but
Yeah.
those were the days where you could actually, you could survive,
Yeah.
on a
It wasn't
salary
only
like that.
survival, Dave. Not every, but many mid-level families owned a place at the beach and sent the kids to college.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they had a recreation place or a second home, and they were all just blue collar. You know,
Yeah. Yep.
and that's what you could do in them days. You can't do that anymore.
Well, it's because the distribution of wealth is just with
Right.
that, 1% of
Don't get
people.
me started. I won't be able
They
to
hold
sleep
it on
tonight.
that. No, but I think that it's a sign of our times. They don't want us having the slice of the pie. They want us to work like dogs for
They
the
want
rest
us to
of
have
our
rich
lives.
people and poor people.
Did
Yep.
I lose you guys?
No, oh, I'm here.
You guys still
David?
there?
Yeah,
Yeah, we're there.
we're here.
Are you there?
Are you
Can't
there,
hear us?
David? David? Nope, I think we lost his ass.
We did.
Hello, David. Look, this
Um,
is hello.
Well, I guess
did
I'll have to
something.
speak out here.
Huh?
I'm not
Hello?
sure.
Hello.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can
Yes.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but now I'm getting feedback.
I guess. Are we having technical issues?
I think we're having some technical issues a little bit.
It's
I can
probably
hear
me.
some
guys can
feedback.
hear me.
It's probably me. I'm going to say goodbye. Is that okay?
You're getting
Yeah.
feedback?
You're good.
Oh,
Yeah, I
I'm
can hear
sorry. I
myself.
can't.
Feedback.
It's probably me. Is that okay?
Well, it's funny because both of you guys. Oh, Mike? I can see you now. Kelly, can you see me?
Yeah.
I mean, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm-
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
can.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I don't know what happened. I don't know if we're like hitting max recording space on this account or something, because it's
Yeah.
all of a sudden you guys froze and
That
then
could
I
be
couldn't
it,
do
yeah.
anything. Yeah. But are you
Well, he's ready to knock off anyway.
all right, Mike, thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate it, man. You've got
Yeah.
great stories. I hope you come back. I mean, I
Well,
hope you
I'd love to. And you guys, I enjoy it so much. Thank you. Thank you.
thank you, sir.
Have a good
Dad.
day.
All right,
Talk to
you
you guys
too.
later.
Love
All right,
you.
take care.
Bye.
All right,
Bye.
take care. See ya. Oh, that was great.
That was fun. That was fun.
That was awesome.
I can still hear myself, so I don't know how that's going to work
Oh,
out.
you can?
That's going to work out.
Yeah, I don't. It's funny because I hear you fine. I hear myself fine, but for some reason, sort of in that last minute or so there, and actually a couple times throughout, but it came back. Was both of you guys froze on my screen?
Oh.
But I could kind of hear audio sort of breaking up a little bit. So I don't know.
I don't know either.
Who knows?
But
Who
that
knows
was
how
fun.
it
That
is?
was fun.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah. He's got
all right,
lots of stories.
Yeah, he does. He's he's lived an interesting life for sure.
He has. Well, we have our sixth episode. We're working on that now to get that
That's right.
going. It's going
Number
to be a
6.
great one, I think.
Yeah. So should we tease that a little bit?
Sure. Let's do it.
Do you want to tease it? Or, I wish I knew.
I can hear myself, so you do it.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. You want me to try to fix that?
Sure.
Does that help at all?
Well, I can hear you better. Yes, it does actually.
You mean it? It does. Okay. Well, hopefully.
It helped. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So just jump in and correct me. So I think our next episode is a couple.
Well, no, they're not a couple together. It's
Oh,
two
they're not.
individuals.
See,
Right.
I already fucked it up. Maybe you should.
They just have a similar story, kind of. Sure.
Okay.
So we're going to have John and Tammy, who are not a couple, but what they are parents to children that have disabilities. That
developmental disabilities, is that how we refer to it?
Developmental, and there's a chromosome. There's a couple of things, but so just as parents, how you do that, like we all say at 18 our kids are good to go. Me and you aren't exactly like that.
Right.
We still are very, but I mean, you think at 18 they're grown, they go to college, they get married, they go. Their children will not necessarily follow that path, and they're going to require some long-term care. And I've just always been interested, I think, as a parent, that certainly can be a fear. How would you do all this? What's going to happen when I'm gone? So, so both John and Tammy both are going to share, their experience and their journey. And
that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that'll be a good episode. I did see a couple of the links that John sent, some of the video stories. So, hopefully, we can do their story justice. I mean, obviously they'll control the narrative. It's their story. And like we always say, everybody has a story worth telling. And that's what we try to help people get out there.
Yeah. Well, we need more. So if anybody's interested, we'd love to hear your story. We'd love to have you part of the pod, and hopefully you feel like we're good vehicles for that journey or that story.
I would hope so. I think, just a little bit about us. You can follow and like us, Holy Trollers with Kelly and David. You could subscribe on YouTube at Holy Trollers. You can listen on Spotify at Holy Trollers with Kelly and David. And you could leave a message with Ronan on Google Voice at 240-415-9247. So that's our little shameless plug for our experiment here.
Yep. So, well, as always, I love spending time with you. Thank you for, thinking that it was a good idea to have Mr. Storyteller, my dad, Daddy-O.
I loved it. Yeah. And thanks for people behind the scenes that are helping us out. Thank you. Give Stacy a big hug and a thanks. And I think we should give him a nice round of applause just for all he's doing behind the scenes. Yes. Golf clap. He's a golfer, right? He's a golfer. I do not know how to play the game, and I would love to learn. Maybe now's a good time.
Right. He goes to bed every night. My wrist.
Yes. Right.
Oh God, just add it to the list of things that ail and hurt a 50+ person. Let's add some more on there.
Let's just pile it on because it doesn't seem to end. But all right. Well, I will. I guess we'll be looking forward to episode 6 coming up soon here, and Enjoy your
Episode 5
Sunday.
done. You too.
All right.
All right.
I guess I should play
Roll
us
us out.
here. Yes.
Roll us out.
Kelly and David, they're on the mic. Talking about things you gotta like.